The Chiefs' active roster and 53 come down to one thing. How much can you squeeze onto this roster today on Locked On Chiefs?
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. This is Locked On Chiefs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and that means your team every single day, all the time, all the way around here on YouTube, on the audio platforms, in writing, newsletters, and everything else that you can get. You everydayers know that already, and we appreciate you being here with us. If you want to be an everydayer, just get subscribed on one or multiple platforms. Make sure that you get all the information so that you're with us every step of the way as these Chiefs get ready to start their 2025 season. If you want that much more, you can get it, including breaking news, right on the text line at 816-357-8781. We've been covering this for a long time. I've been pushing 20 years on covering this league in one form or another, consulting, coaching, whole nine yards. Chris has been doing this nearly as long and more so in writing than I ever have, but we've been doing this show on audio for 9 seasons now. Video a little bit less, but we are coming along. If you have seen us before, welcome back. If you have not, all time, this regime has been covered by this pair this long, and we're excited about what this season is going to bring. So we're going to break it down. We're doing the offensive side of the 53-man roster today, and we're going to finish up later with the offensive line because that is a group that I think we have a couple of interesting twists on, but not necessarily shockers. We're going to get to that coming up later. The QB room and the RB room, they're a little straightforward, but they do carry their own risk. That's coming up next. And we start with the biggest question mark on this roster, and that is the pass catchers. A lot of back and forth around this group, and they take a lot of time. I just want to start by saying, overview for me, I think this team gets split down the middle, 25 offense, 25 defense, and then the specialists. And that's the hardest part about these wide receivers and tight ends for me.
Yeah, and that's tough. I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking it's going to be 26-24. And I do want to say, we'll get into this in just a second, but I do think there's going to be some roster gymnastics that the Chiefs are going to do, especially if they don't get any trades done, because I think that they're going to have some guys that they want to put on IR that they don't necessarily want to use their IR designation to return specifically on, because you can only use 2 of those right at the first cut down day. So something to watch there.
Yeah, and that will play a big factor in these position groups. The question becomes, what's going to happen with Rashee Rice? And because of that question, I think we both feel 7 wide receivers, which we usually are against, is a necessity this season, right?
Yeah, I think it's a necessity, but I think it goes a little bit further than that too, because the wide receiver position looks like it's stocked more than it has been in years. It's not just a matter of feeling like you need to keep 7. It's you also have a lot of talent at that position.
I agree. And even all the way down. I think our top 5 are probably the same in Brown, Rice, Worthy, Juju, and Royals, right?
Yep.
Okay.
No arguments there.
And folks, we did not go over this ahead of time. We try to do this live so you can hear us argue. Then for me,
there might not be much of this. I think this is going to be a little straightforward, but
is it okay? Because the last 2 for me, I think it solidified itself the other night when I thought Nico Romeo put a game 3 together that actually helped his cause on the offensive side of the ball. And he was solid in the return game. I think it's Thornton and Remigio for 6 and 7, and that's it.
I agree, and I do think that Remigio showing up on the first team and getting stats with Mahomes kind of showed that they think he's on the roster as well. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it.
So that means the challenge is getting Jason Brownlee either traded or some kind of craziness to get him through waivers. I think you want him back, but the other 2 guys I want to see on the practice squad are Delana and Badger.
Well, and I would love to see Brownlee on the practice squad. I'm going to be curious to see what receivers they put on the practice squad. Badger would be fun. I kind of liked what I saw from Presley at times, so we'll see if he's able to make it. Although you also look at now I'm blanking on the guy's name. Who's the wide receiver that caught the other deep ball the other night?
Doc Holliday. Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy Holiday. There you go. Holiday. He made it as a practice player. He got a contract as a practice player. It would be something for him to make the roster, which we don't think that that's going to happen. But it is possible that he could contribute, and maybe that's something that they want to look at on special teams.
Agreed.
Or on practice squad.
And it could certainly do that. There's going to be additions from other teams, cut downs as well. So we'll just see who ranks. The pro personnel department in the front office is what's doing that now, breaking down film from everyone else. That said, we both have 7 on here, and that brings us to the tight end group. And as I balance it all out and I weighed it all out, I came down on the side, there's only going to be 3 tight ends on the initial 53. And it's going to be Kelsey Gray and Tonyan. Tonyan earned it despite my concerns about his age. The 3 tight end sets in preseason game number 3 gave you, I think, that solidification of, yes, they can go out there and they can run 13 personnel today if they needed to.
It's interesting. 3 tight ends. I don't think that there's a chance that this team only has 3 tight ends on the roster, but this is where we differ, and this is why you have 25 and I have 26. I have 4. I have Kelsey, Gray, Wiley, and Brenningstool. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier when I said that there's going to be some roster fluctuation. I do think Tonyan ends up on the roster, but I also think that there's a great possibility that Kansas City keeps Brenningstool on the roster, cuts Tonyan the first day, brings him back because he doesn't have to go through waivers day 2, and Brenningstool goes to IR for a short-term stint. And I do think that that's probably the way it'll go. At least that's the way I'm seeing it right now. There's going to be another one on the defensive side that I think they could work in. So that's why I have 26 and you have 25.
Yeah. Now we're going to be talking defense tomorrow, but it does play a factor right now because from my point of view, you get to use 2 designated returns on this cut down to the 53. I don't really have absolutely. And I don't really have a ton of other players that could be options for that. So I think at a very minimum, one of them gets that, probably Brenningstool, because I do feel he's farther behind than Wiley is physically right now in terms of being able to get on a field. But then that could then either be both of them go with that designation or one does. And as you said, the cut circle that you go through with a veteran could get the other one onto the roster. So that's why I was comfortable going down to 3 tight ends.
And we'll see. I'm really going to be curious to see what the Chiefs do because Tonyan has made it clear that he deserves to be on this roster. And I imagine he wants to be here. So I don't think that they risk any chance of losing him because even if somebody's going to call him and say, hey, we'll give you a larger contract, I think Kansas City would match it. It's not like they're going to be short on money this time around, which is a little different than normal.
That's true. Money goes a long way, and it's a pretty interesting group. The quarterback is the quarterback. Is there any question in the running back room? That's next. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra and Cialis, and you maybe have even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to get Rugiet ready. Rugiet Ready is the next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet is a 3-in-1 formula, dissolves under your tongue, kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made that switch. Head over to Rugiet.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code LockedOnNFL, and you'll get 15% off right now today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNFL and use the promo code LockedOnNFL for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, and manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for you football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. It's all here for just 24 hours. FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions, the season-long ones. So whether you're calling out your MVP or eyeing a long-shot division winner, or you're ready to crown a Super Bowl champion right now before Week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So take a flyer. Get Mahomes in the MVP race. Hell, throw Kelsey in there too. It can't hurt, right? If you think the Chiefs are going back to it, you might as well put your money on them now and crown your champion in August. You might take a couple others as well. There's all kinds of action you can get into. Visit FanDuel app today and get started planning your futures bets right now because Futures Day is one day and one day only at FanDuel. Play your game. Okay, we are on to the primetime position of quarterback. Patrick Mahomes gets cut right off the bat. Oh, wait, did I say that out loud? No, that's not going to happen. The question is how many...
Hey, clip makers, take that one.
right. The real question is there any reason to keep anyone beyond Gardner Minshew on this roster? He is clearly the backup. I think we both agree about that. You don't need a third.
No, you don't need a third, and I don't think that there's any chance that they keep a third. Bailey Zappi was the only guy that I thought really had a chance of being a third, and he didn't play well enough this preseason to warrant that. Oladokin is somebody that I don't think they're going to lose to anybody. He will be a practice squad guy, and I think that is in his near future for Kansas City.
Bailey, just keep working. I still think there's a possibility there at times. And I do give him credit in preseason game number 3. He was able to get a little bit of sidearm going. He was quick with his decision making. If you can get back to that, somebody is likely to sign him. He may not end up back in Kansas City. But that brings us to the running back room. And this is something we've been talking about forever. And I went back and forth in breaking this down. Now, I kept 3 tight ends. That allowed me to keep 4 running backs. And I do think, unless there is a trade, I don't know what they're going to do in terms of waiver claims. It's difficult to see them getting anybody at 31st on the wire. I just have trouble with that. So it made me feel like, okay, you know what you have here, and you should probably hold on to it until there's a reason not to. So I kept not only Pacheco, Hunt, and Rashard Smith, but I kept Steele on the roster. What did you think?
Same thing. I did the exact same thing, actually. I think that Mitchell looked good last night, in the preseason game. I apologize. In the third preseason game, but he didn't do anything in the first couple. And you can't just have one game and make it look like you're going to make this roster. He didn't give them enough. And what he did look good at wasn't enough. And it was against lesser competition, which makes it even worse and something that isn't going to translate near as well. So I do think that he is going to get cut, and I do think that they keep Carson Steele. Now, I agree with you, though, and this is where it kind of gets more interesting for me, because I do think that they're going to try to make a trade. I don't think that they're going to be waiting for the waiver wire, because I don't think you're going to be able to get somebody on the waiver wire especially at the running back position. The reality is that there are a ton of running backs out there, but Kansas City needs a better running back option than what they have in Carson Steele, and you're not going to get that on the waiver wire.
I think you're probably right. My number one target for a low-value trade is a guy that is rumored also to be on the roster bubble, much like we'll talk about tomorrow with another former Chief. And Donovan Edwards is a speed back, very similar to Rashard Smith. He doesn't have quite the receiving skills, but he is a good pass catcher. And I do think that he is more akin to an actual tailback rather than what Rashard Smith is trying to go through his evolution. So he's on the Jets squad right now, back and forth about whether he's going to make it or if they're going to expose him to waivers. And I'm relying on the Jets to do Jets things and make a mistake and put him out there on waivers. So I say the Chiefs try to claim him. If not, in the next 48 hours, can they get something done to try to get a low-level trade to acquire him? That's what I'd be going after.
Well, and you can do that. I would look at another Jets running back in Breece Hall personally, if he's possibly out there and available. I think that would be a major upgrade from anything that they have outside of really he'd be an upgrade over pretty much any running back they have. He's not going to be a guy that can come in and be a full bell cow type running back, but they don't need that. They need somebody that can split time with Pacheco, because Hunt, while he is good in short yardage and goal line stuff, I don't think you want him out there getting 10, 15 touches a game, because I don't think he'll hold up the entire season. You want him for a specific skill set that he does, and he does very well, and have somebody else that was supposed to be the Elijah Mitchell type be able to spell Pacheco at times.
I just have trouble seeing, like, the Jets will make serious mistakes, but letting Breece Hall go, I think would be one that they're probably unwilling to make. Braylon Allen's behind him, and yes, you have talent there. Isaiah Davis, I don't know that you should feel comfortable there. If they do, great. And if the Chiefs were able to do that for a day 3 pick, that's fine. I just don't see it happening. I worry that they might have to overspend if they were trying to do it.
I honestly, that is a position that I would consider overspending for, because I think that when you look at this season, they are built so well in the passing game. Well, from what we saw in week 3 in the preseason, they are built so well for that passing game. The worry that you have is that they won't be able to run the ball when they need to, because you're going to deal with injuries with Pacheco and Hunt. And if you get it to a point where it's just Pacheco and Hunt and they're both down, and then you have to have Carson Steele your running back, I'm sorry, that's not going to cut it. So to me, I would consider overpaying a guy like Breece Hall because I think he's dynamic enough to come in and actually give them a third guy that they could feel at least comfortable with being a starter at times this season.
I agree. Now, Brian Robinson has already been traded. The 49ers took care of that. And that's kind of the thing that I think you have to keep in mind is, yes, they have Christian McCaffrey, but now they have 2 starting level running backs. And that is something that the only thing I question about is, would Andy really use them? And that's probably where we got into this. So 2 other names that I have for you. Trading for Travis Etienne. I think that could be worth it again for a low day 3 pick. They just got a boost in trading away and moved their 7th up to a 6th. That pick is on the table as far as I'm concerned. If you can get something for it, that's great. The other name is Antonio Gibson. Do either of those move the needle for you?
Etienne would be interesting. And I wouldn't feel bad about Gibson either. If you're giving up a day 3 pick for those types of guys, I wouldn't feel bad about either of those guys. So I think that you could make those moves and I think you would feel good about it. The issue that you run into, and this is what I said, you can't figure that Pacheco and Hunt are going to be healthy for 17 games. And that's the reality. And if either of those guys are down for the same week, you're in real big trouble with Carson Steele as your starter and Brashard Smith as a guy backing him up.
Yeah.
You may have to pass the ball 50 times a game, and that is something that Andy Reid doesn't want to do, even though he passes it a ton anyway.
That's absolutely true. And ATN, again, this would be another team moving on from their number 1 running back. I still find that hard to do, but we'll see. Disappointment breeds contempt, and that's the way some of these things go. What doesn't go is the debate about the offensive line. We have been through the meat grinder this preseason. There is a disagreement that we are about to have in fundamental about what this offensive line has to be next. This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. The NFL season is right around the corner. You can feel the buzz, especially after the preseason games are wrapped. Fantasy football season is here. Everyone's researching, drafting, building, rebuilding their championship squads. And if you haven't joined a league yet, now's the time. It's all happening on Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I'm playing fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran creating your millionth league like me. Yahoo Fantasy is loaded with fun ways to compete and brand new features to make the game even better. This season, on September 4th, the kickoff. Now's the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers you so many fun ways to compete. If you want more ways to play, you can try it right now. The brand new Fantasy Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week from the league, and there's only one left standing at the end of the season. If you want to play instantly with friends, you can try the new Draft with Friends mode. It's a group think. Prefer the classics, you can get back to the normal crew, head-to-head, private league, no problem. If you don't have a crew, you can just join a public league. Get in there and mix it up with anybody available. The NFL season kicks off on September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. Everything starts in the trenches, and that's where the rubber hits the road. And this is the most difficult part about projecting what has to happen on the offensive line. Before we get into the numbers, I just want to check with you. Where do you sit on Kingsley Suamataia after preseason game number 3?
Still reserved, but I think that he looked a lot better. I think he showed that he has the ability. And to be clear, he struggled, but it wasn't ever a thing to me that looked like he didn't have the ability to do it. It was he's not comfortable at the position yet, and he's still learning his craft. So I think that he has shown he has the ability to do certain things. He just isn't quite where you'd want him to be yet. And the reality is he's a second-year player moving to a completely new position for him, and he has to learn to fight in a phone booth, which is a lot harder than a lot of people want to give credit for when you're used to playing outside.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I thought it was a progression. I think he's got that job pretty much locked up. I don't think that there's a reason to have someone specifically designated to be a backup for him. I think they can run swing interior players like they have in the past. It's not as solid as it used to be with Joe Thuney in there, but I do think that it's solid. So I'm pretty sure we
would be.
Right? Yeah. How could it be? So I think we agree on our starters, right? In Taylor, Smith, Humphrey, Suamataia, and Simmons, right? Simmons and Sua on the left the side of the line, I think, are coming along. We can block those in. The big question becomes this. How many more do you keep? I only kept 4 backups.
That's what I did too. And to be clear, I don't think there's a doubt in my mind who number 6 is. That's more.
I agree.
And I want to say this, and I know I've said it before, but if this is the first time you're listening to us, I'll say it again. Jalen Moore is going to be worth the money that they're paying him. I don't care that they're paying him $15 million this year. They absolutely needed to have the offensive line fixed, and he gives them the best option. He can play all 4 positions he can play 4 positions other than center. I think he could play guard. It still may be a little bit of a struggle, but he could step in and play it if you need to.
You have a starting caliber offensive lineman as your go-to backup. That is epically farther down the road than they have been probably in the whole Super Bowl era. From 2019 on, they've never had that kind of depth. They've had better luck staying healthy, but they've never had that kind of depth. And as you said, being able to go into guard 2, to be a true 6 that can play 4 positions, I think they are set in stone there. The other position would be the backup center. And I don't think there's any doubt for me that Nourzad has that absolutely on lock. Would I like him to be able to anchor a little bit better to get his hands out a little bit faster? Sure. But he is a young guy still progressing. He played tackle in college. Like it's a progression for him as well. But I feel that if Creed had to miss a game, they'd be able to play efficient ball enough to get a win with Hunter Nourzad at center.
Yep. I agree. He's number 7. And I think the interesting part is when you start talking about who 8 and 9 are. And 8, I don't think there's really any question either. Just based on everything that we've seen, it is Mike Caliendo. Mm-hmm. I wish it was somebody else. I'll just be honest, just because I feel like I wish it could be somebody that could probably play 4 positions, and I don't think Caliendo can do that. But you take what you have, and hopefully he's not a guy that is having to start this year. Hopefully they're not dealing with the injuries to where he has to start. And so I think this offensive line is pretty deep when you start looking at it from that perspective.
I agree with you completely. And Caliendo is my number 8 as well. And then it comes to the question mark. And this, to me, comes down to I have the better player being the more vulnerable player in terms of allocation on the waiver wire. And both of these players that I'm about to name are waiver eligible. So you would have to expose either of them no matter who you chose to cut. So I think it comes down to this: Wanya Morris versus Isapole. And I think Morris would be picked up more readily. So I think they leave him on the 53. They trust him more than I do, but he is a top 100 pick that they invested in, and I think they want to continue to try to see it pay off. I think you can get Pole to the practice squad, and if you got to flip those guys later in the season, they're more than comfortable doing it. That's how I see the last spot.
I'm 100% with you, and I think that it goes a little bit further with Morris with the fact that he has started in the NFL and he has played against NFL competition. I'm not going to say it's been great, but at least people have seen on tape what he can do against the NFL starting NFL players, not just in preseason. He's actually had regular season time where he started. So to me, I think that he is clearly going to be the number 9 offensive lineman. I do think they keep 9. And Pole is going to be practice squad bound. Now, the other one that I think is interesting in here, there's 2 more actually. I don't think either will make the roster, but I do think that Ethan Driscoll is going to be put on IR. And it may be one of those things where it's not eligible to return with his appendectomy. We have no idea where he is on any of that. But getting the strength back to be able to play football is going to take some time after a surgery like that.
Well, and to clarify, if he goes on NFI at cut downs as well, it would end the season
that too
in its entirety as well, right? So a release gets you around that. You can release Driscoll. He won't get picked up. I guarantee that. You can bring him right back the next day, put him on NFI from the practice squad. And that will then alleviate that spot. So I think that's the most likely scenario. So then it becomes, for me, has Hansen done enough to get on the practice squad? And as much as I like his athleticism, and I think he's a good project to work on, I don't know that I've seen progression from him. Same thing with Hugh Godric. I know you were pretty happy with his guard play. It did nothing for me. I need him to be a tackle, and he hasn't improved at that at all.
I think he's still going to be on the practice squad regardless because he's an international player and he can be designated as their 17th. So there's no reason not to have him. If you think he can contribute and you want to take a chance at it, all you're doing is throwing away $200,000 a year in his practice squad salary, and I think that they do that in a heartbeat.
Okay. So do you have it the same way as Hansen, Godric, Driscoll, and Pole on the practice squad?
I don't know that Driscoll will make it to the practice squad just because of the NFI, but yeah, I think that Hansen and Pole are on the practice squad, and I think that Godric is as well. It's really going to be hard when you start looking at the numbers when you think you have 9 offensive linemen, or how many offensive linemen you're going to have on the practice squad, because that's normally probably one more than the Chiefs have taken in the past, and then you have maybe another guy on the practice squad. So you have to wonder if maybe they'll go shorter this year.
That may be the case. We'd love to know what you think. Again, as we just look at the offense, Chris is 26. I am 25. Tomorrow we do the defense and round it out. I don't think there's any question that we both have Butker, Ariza, and Winchester as our specialists, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay. You got to have 3 of them guys. Until they get smart and make one kicking position for both place kicking and everything else, we're going to keep 3 of them on the roster. Tomorrow we look at the defense. Don't miss that. Wednesday, we'll have Matt Derrick back here to give us his reaction. We'll actually record it the night before. After 53s are out, we'll give you that instant breakdown, so don't miss that. And then as it churns, we'll have updates for you the rest of the week as they get ready for the week of game number 1. Don't miss a second of it. We appreciate you guys being here. Like, sub, hit the bell. Get with us on every platform, everywhere, all the time. We appreciate you being with us today. Make sure that it continues to go down the road. And we thank you. Have a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow.